Hey, what is up guys, Marcy here, back to do another video, and today I've got another game on Toxicity. Bit of deja vu here, but it's going to be a pretty awesome game once again. And we're playing versus Bart Jones. It's going to be a ZOCOM mirror. And I would like to start things off by mentioning that I am going to make a guide on how to install R21. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. But I do intend to make a guide, quick, snappy video to inform people on Steam who've just installed the game how to get R21, because things may not be clear. The new player experience might not be the best. I mean, for all of us and for all of you guys who watch my channel, you know what this is, but people who just joined our community have no idea. So I need to make that, and I'll probably post it on my channel in a couple of days. I'm not sure how long the hype will last on Steam. And with this Command & Conquer Ultimate Collection, I don't really know. It's interesting how there is a big spike in activity. I personally believe that it won't lead to anything else. I don't think there's another C&C remastered in the works. I know some people are suggesting, based on the words used by Jim the seller, that there's another remaster essentially in development, and I don't think that's the case at all. But it's good that they fixed the EA app version of Kane's Wrath. Now you don't need to install a community patch to get it to work. Ironically, that was probably the best news for me, because it took a lot of explaining work to do for people who had that version, how to get it working. Now it works fine, which is great. Steam has always been for Kane's Wrath, but you could have got on Steam many years ago. It's not anything new. The Ultimate Collection includes all of the games, but 3 of them are freeware games anyways. Command & Conquer 4 has unstable servers, so they added those games essentially to inflate the perceived value of the Ultimate Collection. Yes, it's only $9 or whatever it is now, but that's only a temporary sale price. Afterwards it's going to be $20 if I saw that correctly. So the news isn't really as good as first thought out to be. $20 in my opinion is a bit steep for all of the games. If you ask me, there's no online multiplayer support for any of those games. And I think everybody already owns a copy of Command & Conquer, either on EA or they had the disc copy. Anyways, this game is going to be heating up right now. ZOCOM v ZOCOM. It's one of my favorite matchups. Starting things off with some APC rockets. Those are going to be used to, first and foremost, secure the blue Tiberium field so I don't lose my harvester there, and also to apply a bit of pressure onto Bart Jones. Bart Jones has been playing really well lately. Saw him play versus Bike Rush. You may find on Bike Rush's channel a game or two featuring him. He had a awesome couple of games, and I hope Bike includes the one on Lost Strait, I think it's called. Yeah, that new map that was released. Desk made it. Personally not a fan. It has 4 fields per player. A little bit too large for me. 1v1's map shouldn't be that big in dimensions. Anyway, I am recovering from the cold. Feel a little bit better now. I will be bringing out more content. Doing a bit of micro with these APCs, trying to keep them alive. I've got 2 there on heavy damage state. We'll want to return those to base. They move slower once heavily damaged, but it's going to secure me that blue Tiberium. It's going to buy me enough time to go ahead and get a full tank. I've already teched up to tier 2, working on an airfield. ZOCOM, so I can get the Shamrock armor, but I sometimes choose to opt for the aircraft before the Shamrock armor, because usually your opponent doesn't have anti-air, so you don't need to immediately research Shamrock armor. But in this case I'm going for it right away, and I plan to build ZOCOM walkers. Ever since ZOCOM walkers had a price reduction, they've been seen, I think, just as much as the hammerheads Hammerheads before were like the only aircraft you'd see from ZOCOM until Tier 3. Obviously Firehawks are amazing. They have the biggest boost from ceramic armor, plus 100% armor for the ceramic armor Firehawks. It's only 30% for the Hammerhead and ZOCOM Orca. Imagine if it were more obviously broken. They probably had it at that during testing. They quickly found out that, oh yeah, it's invincible Hammerheads, that's probably not a good thing to have that early on. In the case of the Firehawk, it's not as big of a deal because by then all of the factions have their Tier 3 anti-air upgrades researched, like shard launchers, tip core missiles, and tungsten shells. I'm going to try and halt this push. I thought there was going to be more infantry, but he bluffed me there, and it was just APCs. He put the missiles inside of the APCs, which is obviously what you can do. It's a transport. I suspect here there are some ZOCOM Orcas trying to snipe my Conyard, and I want to move my MCV over that Tiberium field for it to be sniped. Let's see what I can achieve here. I see some harvesters stacking up. If I were microing better, I could have aimed between both of the harvesters. Unfortunately for me, all of my ZOCOM Orcas go down. I think I killed one harvester, or maybe two, but nowhere near worth the cost of those ZOCOM Orcas. Bart sweeps in, critically damages two of my harvesters. It is tricky to aim and kill those harvesters with the ZOCOM Orcas. These ZOCOM sonic projectiles are very, very strong. They do a lot of damage, but they require a lot of micro, and they are difficult to land. Zone raiders as well in Hammerheads. Very lethal, but only against slow targets, static targets is it going to be most effective against. But something like Bike Buggy will be able to dodge them. Throwing down these mines, which will allow these Shatterer tanks to engage this force that obviously they can't move over the mines, those forces. ZOCOM Orca sweeping in from above, going to take out some of those Shatterers. Not as much DPS as I had hoped for, but I'm going to be forced to retreat nonetheless with that Marv coming out. I'm going to go back for more infantry, seeing how the APC army has now been thinned down once again. And this is what I like about ZOCOM mirrors, more than I do about other matchups. There's just more unit mixing. The army composition is comprised of way more units. Slingshots, Shatterer tanks, missiles, APCs, Predator tanks, ZOCOM Orcas, Hammerheads. Literally every unit has a role in this matchup, and this is why I want to highlight this game. Again, like that previous game that I highlighted, it's just a great matchup to watch and to play, in my opinion. I thought I'd summon in the Bloodhounds because he's still got some ZOCOM Orcas on the map, and I suspect maybe he'll fly them in that direction. Bloodhounds, I mean those are airborne, so I'm going to destroy those quickly. Two of the V-35s goes down, but I only killed the Rifleman's. Probably a bit of a waste. It would have been better used on the map, but instead of going back to base to reload these ZOCOM Orcas, which I don't have the time really to do, I'm going to build a combat support airfield and rearm my ZOCOM Orcas right on the front line. It's going to allow me to kill this Marv or force it to pull back. Finally, I'm going to be able to grab this defensive tower after the second attempt. I did lose my engineer earlier. There's also an EMP control center on this map that is seldom captured. I do like to capture it myself, but a lot of players seem to forget about it. It's not something that they often get. It's easy to defend because it has 4 bunkers surrounding it, and I just did lose all my ZOCOM Orcas to a supersonic airstrike, so both of us trading our ZOCOM Orcas, and this game, really neither side has done any crippling damage to one another. A lot of action, and I even said this game to Cybert. I thought it stood out enough for it to be an entertaining cast for someone like Cyber. Missiles in the back there, gonna try and deal with the hammerheads. The hammerheads just aren't in sufficient numbers to deal with this force. And the hammerheads will be taken out there. The Shatter is also very effective as ZOCOM. When they are low on health, I recommend you use the Overload Beam. It's better to get that extra shot off before they die. And it's an extra powerful shot as well. It deals more damage than the normal one. And the range is significant as well on the Shatterers. I had someone tell me on YouTube once that it even outranges the Obelisk of Light. And I put that to the test and it turned out to be correct. In a sense, the Shatterer tank can be used as a pseudo artillery unit, but don't really recommend it. One suggestion for the Shatterer tank, if it ever needed a buff, which I don't believe it does, but if it does, would be to make it able to shoot over structures like the sonic emitters. Though that might be broken. Targeting down these harvesters. I killed 2. And I'm conserving my ammunition. I only unloaded a single sonic grenade on that harvester. And I've got my hand placed over the S key on my keyboard. And I'm just going to press that S key to stop the ZOCOM's orcas from unloading all of their ammunition clip. Which will give me the option to kill even more units if necessary. Now we're in the really late game now. This game has been going on for quite some time, so it would be an ideal time now to transition into Firehawks. Me being the ZOCOM faction, I do gain access to the best Firehawk in the game. It is the one with the most health, but it doesn't have the hardpoint upgrade, which increases the ammo capacity by 50%. The GDI and Steel Talons ones can get hardpoints, which increases the bomb count to 3. You can destroy some structures like power plants with just a singular Firehawk with that upgrade. But the ZOCOM ones are better overall because they have way more health and they can fly into a ton of AA and make it out alive. Plus, with sonic repulsion field and laser fencing no longer being super insane, you can destroy fenced tier 3s with just 5 Firehawks. You don't need an extra one to destroy the tier 3. The fence only absorbs 1 more Firehawk. In the case of GDI and Steel Talons Firehawks, you can just get the hard points and that'll be sufficient to destroy a tier 3 of a fence with only 4. Because it'd be 3 extra bombs. And here's another unit that has made it onto the battlefield, the EMP Grenadier. Hammerheads as well out for Bart Jones, obviously in response to the infantry, but I have already the counter to those Hammerheads. Firehawks are out, and now the Marv is EMP'd. There's triple rockets inside of those bunkers, dealing a ton of damage. Shatterers in the back there doing huge damage. Look at all those infantry dying to the AoE damage. Bart also himself has Firehawks on the map. ZOCOM Walker comes in. The most it could really do is get some AoE damage inflicted and the Marv goes down, but I'm going to pay for it because my force has been EMP'd and the Shatterer tanks are being taken out. So despite the Marv going down, I did trade there some forces of mine for it, but I do now have the option to start harassing his base with these Firehawks, and it's going to require a lot of AA to deal with the ZOCOM Hawks. Even if he himself has a Firehawk, it's not one singular Firehawk won't be able to kill mine. 4 missiles is not sufficient. He needs to really have a full deck at least on AA loadout to stop this bombing run of mine. He obviously sells that building because a fence won't save it, and now he's on tier 1, which is not a bad thing for ZOCOM because they do have loads of tier 1 upgrades which makes their units at tier 1 better, like infantry, Tiberian field suits. They have the AP ammo as well, which allows APCs to be even better. Watchtowers as well, but that's not really a combat unit. And let's not forget the ceramic armor. Look how quick these Hawks can reload. And the reason why I am quick is because I have assigned a bookmark to my airfields. By default, to assign a bookmark, it's Control J, Control K, or Control L. And then you press the corresponding key to jump back to that location, like J, K, L. And then I just Stratofighter directly on top of my airfield, shortening the travel time of my Hawks. Loads of units out for me on this map. I've got a commando even mixed in as well for the infantry that he could potentially build. I'm not too concerned about him having firehawks. He can build snipers, but I have snipers of my own, mammoth tank as well. Maybe it was not necessary sending back this whole army to defend this location, but I want to try and keep this refinery alive. And you don't want to let your refineries die in this game, because if you do, you're going to lose resources. I mentioned this in a previous video, but try and sell them off if they're about to die. Otherwise the game will deduct a percentage of your overall resources. It's not nearly as bad as previous Command & Conquer games, but it is retained in Command & Conquer 3. I'm not sure how that infantry force made it to the back of my base, if he's used the V-35 transports or they just walked all the way back there. Kind of strange though. We have more reinforcements coming in. I'm gonna have to deal with that now. That's a serious army in my base. Watchtowers will only stall this attack. Can't really pursue into his base because there's a Shatterer army. Those do huge damage, especially against my mostly infantry force. So now the tides have turned once again, but I do have the Firehawks, and I'm going to leverage my current and only advantage and destroy the tier 3 once again. So this is my strategy, is just to keep on taking out this tier 3 and preventing him from gaining another Mav or building more Firehawks. He's got 1 or 2 out, but again, it's just not enough. And look at all these combat support airfields. Something that was not even considered back in the day is now seeing play from not only myself, but from many other players. And the reason is they have tons of health now, and they only cost $500, and you can build 4 aircraft from your airfield and then assign them to your combat support airfield, and then build another 4 from your airfield again. So you don't have to constantly build airfields. There's no real advantage in doing so, especially when the health of the combat support airfield is exactly the same. Only difference is it doesn't have a laser fence. And you can tell we're fighting with scraps now, and that ZOCOM Orca just sniped 3 zone shatterers, and that's exactly the sort of trade I'm looking for here after losing my elite shatterer, which was unfortunate. But I do have resources coming in, and I'm managing my economy. I've got some Tiberium regrowing on my field. I often don't leave 1 or 2 harvesters on the field. I prefer it to regrow back. That is better overall, because Tiberium crystals go through stages, and the seedlings only provide $114 of resources, whereas if you let the tib field grow more, each of those crystals that spawns will over time become more valuable. At most it's $350 for a green crystal. If you multiply that by 4, is it 5 or 4? It's 4, right? $1,400. Doing math while commentating, probably not a good idea. This EMP control center has been taking some damage. Uncovered a little bit of a bug there. The commando did not want to shoot. Had to evacuate it from that bunker. MCV taking some damage. APC missile firing at my MCV. But I do have an army that will respond to this at the cost of my MCV going down. I do have a war factory to rebuild my MCV if necessary, but yeah, when has the action ever ceased in this game? There's been tons of it. MCV will finally go down, but with my commando, zone raiders, sniper teams, mammoth tanks, there's really nothing this force, which is usually very good, can do. But my force is simply on a higher tech level, and you can see the zone raiders as well, when supported properly by those mammoth tanks, aren't a threat to engage these dedicated anti-infantry units. Snipers aren't an option either, because I have a ton of my own, and those will immediately open fire and kill his. And I think that was a pretty solid game there on Toxicity, demonstrating once again why I think ZOCOM mirrors and Jedi mirrors are really fun nowadays. Not dominated by epic units. I was the one without the epic, and I won that game. Firehawks, prioritizing them over tier 3 epic units was the right call. And the ZOCOM Orcas as well. While not controlled the best, there was several moments there where they shined, and they did a lot of damage. Anyways guys, I hope you all enjoyed that video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. I'm still recovering from the cold. Like I said, I kind of struggled at times to talk properly, but hope this video comes out alright. It's content nonetheless, and I will see you all in the next video. This is me, Master Leaf. Peace out.